With 8 hamlets and 3 different villages, the town of Warwick is quite the place. So many different people, places, and things are encompassed in this community, creating some incredible stories. Today we take the time to tell some of them on In the Valley. Hello, and welcome to In the Valley. I'm Stephanie Keegan, and I'm the Executive Director of the Warwick Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today, we'll introduce you to a collection of people who have made Warwick the place that it is today. First, we pay a visit to one of the town's most iconic historical landmarks.
We live in a historical hotbed, and from the Battle of Minnesink to the discovery of the Mastodon, our region has played host to some of the most significant events of the 1700s. But what if I told you that history could be found right in our own village? This is the story of Baird's Tavern.
The basic tavern was designed, which was not part of the house itself, it was out here, was designed for anybody that was a traveler to be able to stop, a local, if he was in the area, to stop and have a drink. It was a normal thing to do. As I had said before, it also was very important as a meeting place. You'll find throughout the colonies that many meetings of the people of the area, elected officials, were done right at a tavern.
We all know about George and Martha Washington's famed visit to the tavern, but the establishment was first opened in 1766, a full 10 years before the signing of the Declaration of Independence by Francis Baird.
The building, Baird's, what's known as Baird's Tavern today, was first built by Francis Baird. He came from New York City. He was a printer, and he bought about 260 acres of property here.
Baird was quite the character. From his roles in authority, who rounded up loyalists and threw them into the Goshen jail, to his mass adoption of local orphans. The stories surrounding this man are endless. But eventually, his time did come to an end, and Baird sold his tavern in the 1790s. The building served various roles over the next 2 centuries, being used as law offices, apartments, a library, and even a Red Cross office during World War II. By this point, the building was a Warwick staple.
Baird's Tavern grew in infamy. Everybody knew of the Baird's location.
But now the building was in disrepair, and something had to be done if the tavern was going to be saved. So Warwick resident Elizabeth Van Leer went and sold off a priceless Delacroix painting to buy the tavern and donate it to the Historical Society in 1991.
And then at that point, what we did, our organization, was we restored it back to the colonial American times up here in the museum rooms where we are now. And so the upstairs was extensively renovated, and all of the furnishings that you see were original to that time. Even though they weren't original to this building itself, they are all from colonial American period. So we've turned this into kind of museum rooms, preserving the past while we look to the future.
Baird's Tavern is the centerpiece of the Warwick Historical Society today. Warwick 4th graders tour the building every spring, and it's even become a destination for out-of-towners. But in the late 2010s, a problem started to emerge. The Warwick Historical Society was running out of money, and that's where this story takes a rather innovative turn.
So we were approached to open Baird's Tavern because it was just an empty building, and the Historical Society needed revenue, and they wanted to bring one of the buildings back to life. So we opened Baird's Tavern to bring back the tavern life to Warwick, giving everybody an experience of an old school tavern in the new times. So you're able to come in and get a drink and enjoy friends, your time with your friends, and also to be in a building that had George Washington and Martha Washington in it.
So the idea for renting Baird's was twofold. Number one, it was going to assist with our business operations income, and number two, to experience a sense of what the pub might have been like back in colonial American times, breathing a little life back into the historic landmark property.
So here we are, 257 years later, right back where we started. Baird's Tavern has truly stood the test of time. And nobody is happier about this than the family whose name is on the building.
I think it's great being part of history, and I think it's great knowing of your family and knowing of its history, and even having a part of that history still remaining here today, being the Baird's Tavern.
No family represents the story of Warwick better than the Bairds. From Francis to Bob and beyond, they have always been here, pillars of our great community. And as the tavern continues to serve its patrons, we're reminded of all the incredible stories that have come out of this one building. So next time you're craving a drink, why don't you head on down to Baird's Tavern? You might just become a part of history.
The first guest we have here today is Nora Gurvich from Baird's Tavern. Nora worked with Theodore Fernandez on this story that you just saw.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hi there. How does this feature sum up what Baird's Tavern represents?
I imagine that was a hard story to tell because the tavern has been around for over 2 centuries. So Theodore really did a nice job of kind of encapsulating the history of the tavern and the building, including discussing Francis Baird, how he came out to Warwick in the first place, but then even watching the new iteration of it these days and watching it become an active pub again. I think he did a good job capturing the character of that building.
Yeah. And so how did Theodore work with you to create this project?
So we had met previously when he was doing another story, and we got talking about history, and I know he has a passion for history. When he approached me, I work for the Warwick Historical Society, and he wanted to do a story on Baird's because the tavern really is a character in our community. It has its own personality. I felt like that was a great idea. We at the Historical Society see our buildings and properties as living characters too, not to anthropomorphize them or anything, but it was great to see Theodore recognize that we're steeped in history in Warwick and that Baird's Tavern had this history that might actually resonate with a lot of people for the centuries.
Yeah. And so what do you want people to take away about Baird's Tavern and the work the Warwick Historical Society does?
I love that our mission is preserving, sharing, and celebrating the history of the town of Warwick and telling stories about the buildings and the people that lived. That's so important to conservation and preservation efforts in local history. Sharing it by making stories and sharing it in our education. We do a 4th grade tour and leading tours for the public, or having this kind of story told about the property that really helps people feel connected to the history, because I feel that we are all sharing this local history together, and it doesn't matter if you've lived in Warwick for 1 day or 1 year, or if your family goes back for generations like the Bairds. It's a shared local history. And then preserving, sharing, and celebrating the history of the town of Warwick. So Warwick is so steeped in history. It's nice to see people like Theodore having an interest in our historical past and then wanting to help other people understand that now too. That helps us celebrate it.
Baird's Tavern has entertained thousands of people over the centuries, but it's far from the only place you can go for some fun. In fact, less than 500 feet away, a community gathers to try and brighten the lives of others.
look at you. Here's the thing. So in Warwick, there's a lot of steps. And today, I'm walking into the Warwick Reformed Church, where when you think of a church, you think of the choir, the priest, you think of the seating, the Bible, and maybe your grandmother on a Sunday morning telling you look dapper today. Well, here's the thing, viewer. I'm not here for that today. Come with me. The thing I'm here for today is a different view on this church, something they do differently. What do they do differently? Well, let me show you.
Yep, folks, within the town of Warwick, going down Maple Ave and across the hospital, the Warwick Reformed Church stands tall with its weathered-out stones and its overgrown beautiful scenery ever since the year 1989. This church continues with its beacon of being part of Warwick's past history. However, around the old nooks and crannies conceals a meeting hall adjacent to the church, which is the home of a little theater company. With being a theater no one really knows, the little unknown place seems to have ties with words.
Fun, I guess.
I'd say accepting, welcoming are just two big ones to open it with. I'd say we're efficient. I know community theater, everyone tries to be like, we're professional, but I think you don't need to be professional, you just need to be determined. And we're definitely determined. We always get things done.
Definitely like high energy and very like ecstatic.
Probably compassionate, because everyone's like always there for you. It's just a very welcoming sort of place.
Perfect! Woohoo!
Goofy, but like respectable, I want to say, because goofy and hardworking, because we make all of our sets and most of the costumes are not handmade, but like created in-house.
There is an expression out there where people say words could not sometimes describe a concept they fully heartily want to describe. As for these words chosen for this small theater company, words could seem to be a little bit more easier to say from the heart. But how does this theater ever come to be? Helping little aspirers achieve their faraway goals. Well, there's always a start time to a show. Margaret Trench is the one who took her theater passion and her biggest heart in order to place the WRC Theater Company into the lights, back in the recent years of 2013. As the one who founded the idea of a church being the home of a theater production, seems to have the inspiration all those past experiences ago.
Many years ago, when I was 10, I got invited to go to this thing called youth group at this church with Lisa Miller, and it was this pink church in Clearwater, Florida. And the people were very nice to me there. These old people that didn't know me, they didn't know my circumstances or anything about me. And they were kind and nice, and it was peaceful. Mm-hmm. And I thought to myself, if one day, someday, I could give that to a child, I would want to do that.
However, as the years begin to pass, and Margaret experiences the kids she taught becoming performers front, right, and center, knowing to have help along the way in order to have the company grow for more aspiring actors is always appreciated. It does appear, however, Margaret acquires some assistance from one of those past experiences.
So I always did like theater when I was in school, and I had gone to school for acting, but Margaret was actually my acting teacher when I was 11 years old. We started off, it was the Black Dirt Acting Company, and I would come and just do acting lessons with her. And from when I was 11 to 18, I would just work with her. And then when I started to feel like I was aging out of the program where I could be with her classes, I kind of took on a leadership role instead. And I think that I just wanted to be able to be kind of a big sister almost to some of the kids, and kind of somebody that wasn't so much older than them that they felt like I was an adult, but rather that they could kind of relate to in a way.
Do you have the idea of this little theater company just yet? A place where someone like a young aspirer can run to capture the experience of being on stage, singing with a full heart, speaking lines, and performing in front of a crowd? Now, even if that crowd is never too small or never too large, one key component still remains. The childish idea of the theater being a safe place where children can go to meet, perform, and form a bond similar to a family. These 3 simple steps may be behind the scenes motivation to arrive back to the place the actors and staff call home.
The kids, I think this place is like for me, it's always been like a safe space to go to, and I can kind of see like the way some of the kids open up to me about like things that don't even have to do with theater necessarily, but also watching some of them go from being really shy to like some of our most like explosive characters. I think that I'm just able to see how they've grown up, and I think I just keep wanting to come back because it's just like a good environment, and I feel like I'm a part of watching them grow.
It's fun, and it's been my dream since I was little to be an actor when I was older, so I thought I might need some training for that.
Oh, it's definitely the community. I think it's because it's also everyone who comes see the shows are often like really impressed because we put it on in the church in the lower part of the building. We clear the where the altar is, and we transform it into a stage. We put on like black wood extensions, and we make it a stage. And they don't see it as that for how little we work with. We do a lot, and it's always impressive. And also, there's a good community. We're really chill, and we always get things done. So I feel like efficient here. It just makes me feel good to do good, and everyone else is good. So
I think it's like a really healthy environment, and everyone's like really, really sweet, and like Miss Margaret's really nice, and I just feel very welcome here.
It's very welcoming. Margaret's always here for you. She's like a second mom to me. So it's just like a great place to come and just hang out. I always want to be here.
Since, you know, I have autism and a lot of autistics don't speak, I thought it'd be nice, since I love to act, that I could like speak for them. I could talk like that.
It's just a nice environment. Like everyone's like nice and respectful to each other. I've made some of my closest friends here, so I like to come back to see them and act with them, and it's just a whole bunch of fun with the entire company.
This little WRC theater company seems to set the stage as a church always wanted to create, a spot, a place where someone could run to have the comfort of a safe place. Saying little, though, for this theater might be misleading, since Margaret has seen her creation evolved.
When we first started, because people had no idea about the program, we had to recruit a lot of kids and invite a lot of kids. So my kids were in it, and their friends were in it, and that's kind of how it started. And then once the audience grew, I mean, when we were first in here, because this church seats about 300. The first time we did a show, I think maybe we had 40 people come and watch. And then each year, it got bigger and bigger, and then 4 or 5 years into it, we were selling out.
However, with regards to speaking about the theater, either big or small, the theater company really shows its impact, not only on the encouraging dreamers and the staff working alongside with Margaret, but also the community they love.
I would like to say is that the performing arts are for everybody. They're not just for the kids that are, you know, headed to Broadway. They're not just for the kids that take all the dance lessons and all the tap lessons and all the acting classes. They're for kids that need a place to belong, that are looking for community, that are looking for friends, that are looking for a sense of self. And I think that this theater company offers that. Not only are they getting an incredible opportunity to perform and do great shows and songs and lyrics and all that wonderful stuff, but they get an opportunity to create real friendships and real relationships with kids that would never have ever come into their community. And I think that they are enriched by that experience.
I think like if I was to tell, like if someone was like asking me about this theater company, I think something else that's important about it is that it gives back, like that the kids are able to select charities that are important to them. And even I was able to like select a charity. We donated to Tunnel to the Towers, which is for like a 9/11 foundation. So I think we've all been able to like advocate for charity groups that are important to us and be able to help on a more local level that the kids can see. So I think also it's more than just a theater group, it's also teaching kids social responsibility. Yeah. So I think that's the part that people don't necessarily know about us.
Witnessing a family created by the bonds made is always revealing as you stop and think about the journey you came from. There are all the great moments, some funny moments, and yes, even some hiccups. However, as Living Room decorations say, Home is wherever the family is.
We're now joined by Shane Crane, producer of the story, and Margaret Tench, director of the company. First of all, can you two tell us about how it was working together?
Well, I'll go first because...
Yeah, I was going to say, who's going to go first in this one?
You know, Shane was introduced to me by the kids in the company that worked with him during their theater experience here at the high school.
Xanadu.
Xanadu, yes, at Xanadu. And so Shane contacted me and said that he wanted to do a story on the theater company, and I was like, great, you know, I would love that. And, you know, Shane also, when he came to work with us, he was so great in, you know, watching, and I could see the way he was capturing the story and everything, and he told me, he's like, you know, I just want to let you know, I am a theater kid, and I'm like, please come. And so he joined us. He actually stepped in and helped us with Shrek.
Yep.
And he worked backstage for Shrek with us and was amazing. I mean, he has the ability to learn things so quickly. So it was a win for all of us. You know, it was great having him backstage, great to see the story he's telling about the theater kids.
Absolutely. When I started was the fact that, as Margaret said, I was doing Xanadu, and it was kind of like going closer to the end where I was the student director of the show, so I had to direct a show for like my first time. And when that week came by, we called it the Hell Week, that's when this project came by. I was like, okay, I got to do with this, I got to do with Xanadu, I got to go do all this stuff. So there was a moment where I took the link and I looked at like information, and then I remember asking my class one day, I was like, how do I introduce myself? How do I get the ball rolling? How do I get the chance to like record? And they just helped me out with that, and I was able to get that ball, take my phone, and be able to text Margaret here and like be able to get the story out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So what was it like having Shane join this tight-knit group and getting into the inner workings of it?
Well, I would say it was natural and easy, and it's like he just stepped right into a position where, you know, because the kids are so welcoming, and everybody is, you know, our philosophy is that, you know, everybody's welcome, and especially somebody as talented as Shane, you know, it's a blessing for us to have him step in. So it was awesome.
Excellent. So Shane, how did you feel about getting to join in on the stuff they do at the company?
It was nice because there's the fact that I was able to go again with another theater production and be able to do another play before my high school career ended. And of course it was Shrek, and something, the musical I remember seeing on Netflix and watching that production. Even though I was not an actor and could have done maybe a good acting job, I was glad to be backstage and helping out with like Megan and other stage crew members on the stage.
Wonderful. Well, thank you too. So we've been focusing very much on the people of Warwick, but we are at heart a farm town, and nothing says farm town quite like horses.
The community that lies within Warwick, New York is home to a variety of people, places, and things, but Warwick also takes great pride in helping local life flourish. Winslow Therapeutic Riding Center is one place in Warwick that gives the word community a whole new meaning.
I have been working here for about 8 years, and the staff that I work with is wonderful. I consider almost everybody I work with a friend. They are all very supportive, they're all very kind, they are all very dedicated to the people that they work with and the animals that they care for, and the community that they serve. And it's just a really great environment to be a part of.
But the friendly and family-like connection is not something new to this nonprofit organization, but instead started many years ago.
Winslow Therapeutic Center opened in 1974. It was founded by Virginia Mazza and Virginia Martin. They were two horsewomen with a background in special ed and saw the need of activities at first for children with special needs in the community. So they got together with some special ed parents and their families, and they had a spot over in Vernon, New Jersey, where they started riding children. They had a porta potty and a trailer, and that was really it. In 2000-2001, we had our building put up here on 17A, and we were children-centered mostly. We would accept everybody and anybody, but there was a main serve around the children. So now in 2023, in the last 5-6 years, we've really opened that up, and now we host an adult day program, and we're really gearing towards having both children and adults with disabilities here at Winslow.
Winslow is not only for neurodivergent children, they also cater to an adult audience and anyone able-bodied or not who wants to experience horse riding for a fun or therapeutic purpose. This gives people the chance to connect with all different kinds of kids and adults during a lesson, activity, or when helping out.
I wish everybody knew that Winslow was all-inclusive. There's something here for everybody, whether it's wanting to make a difference and become a volunteer or learn to become an instructor, or if you want to learn something like riding a horse or working with a horse on the ground.
Along with being able to connect with others, everyone who walks through the doors of Winslow has something nice and inspiring to say about their experience here.
I've been riding here since I was 3 years old, so I know the place a lot, volunteering. Yeah, I just love being here with the horses, you know, giving them loving and everything.
If you do not want to only take horse riding lessons, there are other programs to choose from and to be a part of that are for a wide range of ages.
Well, there's summer adventures, which you pretty much get to hang out with the animals and you get to ride, and it's pretty much just over the summer. YLA is for the older kids, and you get to go on field trips and all sorts of stuff. And then there's Day Hab for the more adult people, where you get to do a bunch of fun like crafts, and you get to see the animals and a bunch of fun things.
Out of everyone who attends these programs, I got the chance to interview one of the members of the Adult Day Hab program and ask them what they love most about coming here.
I like riding the horses. I also like taking care of some of the people we have autism. I like to help people out in need, and I like to go see the goats and the chickens. Basically, it's a variety of things that I like to do here. Horses are good animals to, if you're feeling bad or if you're feeling sad, they're good animals that they can relate to, and they can hopefully feel better if they, be around horses.
From therapeutic horse riding to volunteering and being able to feed and clean the horses, or even attending to the goats and chickens on the property, there is something for everyone to indulge in here at Winslow.
So it's not just for special needs, we have other programs. My kids have been coming to summer camp, they've been coming to Day at the Barn, they've been growing up here ever since they were little, and they've had exposure to people in the special needs community, which they probably wouldn't otherwise have had, so they have gotten to see different facets of life.
I'm joined now on set by Brooke Holzhauer. Brooke, as producer of this story, what was your takeaway of the work that Winslow Therapeutic does?
Well, Winslow, I didn't really know what the company did before doing this story and meeting these people. I only knew them from the Duck Derby, so I've seen their name around town before. I've known, the name, but getting to really see and hear about what they do has been an eye-opening experience. They are very educational people, and I felt very educated leaving there, and very happy to say that I worked with them, and they were all very nice, and I'm really glad that I also got to meet some of the clients that go there.
Yeah, and so Winslow obviously specializes in treating the disabled and mentally challenged, and they've done a lot of work to better the lives of those facing problems. What were some of the challenges of getting to interact with and interview some of those people?
Well, some of them can be shy. I have realized that a lot of them are not very used to being on camera, or they don't like it. Or they don't have much to say, so I want a full sentence or two out of them, and they will only give me a few words, but I worked with it and they were all very nice, so it was I just had to be more patient, and they were patient with me, and we both respected each other's time, and that's the most important part.
And finally, how was it getting to film with the horses?
It was fun. It was definitely fun. I am not someone who is around horses much at all. I've only ridden a pony one time when I was young at Penning's farm, so I don't have that full farm horse experience. But I think it's really cool that people can dedicate their whole job or their whole hobby or anything like that to animals and to horses. I think seeing what Winslow does has given me a different perspective on farm animals and how well they work with people. You know, some people might have a different outlook on it, like, oh, they can be mean, or, you know, they don't know how to work with young kids, you know, that's scary, but it's really not. Like, going to Winslow was just very eye-opening in that way.
Wonderful. So sticking with the wilderness theme, let's check out the work that some Warwick activists are doing to try and preserve one of our town's most biodiverse locations.
When Warwick was established in 1876, it not only established its place in Orange County, but established a heart for the arts and historical culture. Due to Warwick being a place where generations reside, it's very easy to forget the landmarks around you, one of which needs saving.
The sounds of nature. These sounds are the sounds that the Orange County Land Trust has been trying to protect since 1993.
Being able to preserve this is one of the most beautiful places in the world. So I grew up here, I was born here. My siblings moved away. Every time my sister comes to visit, she's always like, oh, she forgets how beautiful it is. Being able as a family to get out on this trail, which used to be, you know, a railroad, is being able to do this together is a wonderful thing. We can enjoy nature and see the views that are here, and it's a blessing, so it means a lot.
This organization has become much bigger since then, not only owning 7 preserves, but making their own community within them. Jeremy Schneider knows a thing or two about this organization and this community, working as a communication manager for over 10 years.
The idea was to have an organization that can address the growing developments in the county. So fast forward to today, and the Orange County Land Trust has conserved close to 6,500 acres. We own and manage roughly 12 nature preserves, and we hold conservation easements on privately owned lands, and some of those are lands that border watersheds, reservoirs, working farms, and other important areas in the county.
Even though Jeremy has been working at this organization for a while, there is so much history involved in it. Sometimes it's better to hear about it from the ones who's experienced it. Dr. Richard Hall is a Warwick historian, knowing anything about everything. Not only that, but he has a special memory to the mountain that Orange County Land Trust so desperately wants to save.
So here I was, a 9-year-old boy, and went up there with my dad and a local farmer, and when I got to the top, I was just blown away by the view. It says Sugarloaf Mountain is a baldy. It has no trees on the top of the mountain, and you can stand there and get a 360-degree panorama of all of Orange County, looking out toward Pennsylvania and north toward the Catskills and over toward the Hudson and southward into New Jersey. And at that age, I never seen a vista like that. It just overwhelmed me. And I said to myself, I think I'm going to like living out here. This is pretty neat.
Conservations like Fuller Mountain and Binberg Preserve aren't saved on their own. It needs some direction.
In terms of our mission and sort of expanding all of our work, I think one of the key objectives that I'm seeking to obtain is to really start to put together a comprehensive list of, both funding sources so that we can fund and implement sort of these projects, but then also to get the community more involved in our processes to prioritize our land acquisition projects.
Although most of these different people haven't even met each other, they all have that one connection that makes them one voice together.
I think we need to preserve the gems that we have here, which is, the natural beauty and the landscapes and, these trails. And, we need to have more land in trust so that everyone can enjoy it and it will keep our county beautiful.
I just hope that it draws a general awareness to the importance of our work and for thinking ahead to future generations.
We want to be able to let people freely climb through the forest and across the fields and up the mountain to the top and have the same kind of exhilarating experience that all people have when they get to the top of that mountain. It's just like, oh my God, look at this, it's beautiful.
There's so many things that we could be thinking about. It can be kind of overwhelming at times, and it would be really great, I think, to be able to get the community more involved in thinking about what's next. And then, of course, from our end, being able to connect those important community projects to external funding sources. And then, of course, going through the process to actually implement those projects.
And so I ask, do you hear it? Because I think I hear a sound worth saving.
With me now, Jasira. Okay, Jasira, what was your favorite part about creating this story?
Okay, well, I think my favorite part was just in general being able to see what was going on in the Orange County and like save the Sugarloaf Mountain, because originally I got the project from my teacher because it was nearby where I lived, and I always used to see like little posters like save what's called the Sugarloaf Mountain, all that stuff. So I was like, oh, now I recognize why I was here and stuff. And like meeting with the people who are a part of the organization was really, really fun, and being able to like see what they were talking about, because that was like the first time I actually drove like inside the mountain practically. It was so like, it was tall and it was kind of scary, and I kind of got lost, but besides the point, it was really fun working with them. They gave me free t-shirts and they were just nice. They let me like take videos and explore the place and all the trails. Like it was just lovely to look at.
Wonderful. And how have your views on local politics and activism been changed through this story?
I definitely see it more like I've always been with, save, the plants and save, like conserve things. But now I think like more of like, we really need to, because like thinking about like even like the thing that happened last week with like the air and stuff like that, and it's just like very scary to think about like things that we cherish so much and like a community cherishes so much just can be gone in an instant just because. And I feel like it sparked something in me of being like, oh, we need to do more about this, and we do more about protecting the place that cares about us the most, grows the trees and stuff like that. So yeah.
And finally, are you going to go back to the mountain after this?
Well, sadly, due to the mountain being like closed and stuff like that, that's why they're trying to save it and stuff. I don't know if I can, but if I can, I will try to go. I will try to trail it, and I will try to go to all the different trails. I want to go on the mountain again. I kind of just want to drive on it just because it's kind of scary, but like I like the way it just goes up and up and up. But yeah, I'm fine with getting lost again as long as I go up there.
Wonderful. And our last story involves a former summer camp that has been revitalized for a very interesting purpose.
For over a century, Warwick has been known to many as a resort town with excellent weekend activities. Now, Warwick is part of a mission to welcome more people to our rural town and away from the hustle and bustle of nearby New York City. The Warwick Institute of Culture is an up-and-coming incubator for artists from all over to come and hone their skills. Founded by Emily Dupre, the Warwick Institute of Culture, or the WIC, is part of a big mission to help bring more people to Warwick.
We're working together with the town of Warwick to nurture arts and culture here in a town space.
When we were looking at putting this together, we sort of took a viewpoint from 30,000 feet, meaning you can see so far when you're up so high. So we really envisioned it to be all-encompassing, sky's the limit, multi-generational.
My hope is that it brings lots of new faces, people who are really interested in our community, who also want to engage in our community, right?
Emily's motivation to establish this legacy comes from her mother.
What do you want your obituary to say? And I was like, oh, okay, wow, we're going there, Mom, thank you. So then I started dreaming of that and kind of expanding upon that and looking at it from like 30,000 feet, what this property could become over the course of the next 100 years.
A lot of people have like creative retreats, and this is a place where you can come and live in the beauty of the area without all the other distractions. So if you're a writer, listening to the birds and sitting out and looking at the trees and going on a hike, and a musician where you can go play outdoors and not have to battle with sirens and cars.
In addition to becoming an artist retreat, the WIC has also begun to host plays and concerts on their stage right here in Warwick.
there is a desire in the community to see theater and participate, in the development.
We're so close to New York City, and we're also in a really great spot. We're right near Jersey. Folks sometimes don't want to drive all the way down to the city to see a show, to engage in the arts. So having someplace like the Warwick Institute of Culture here with us is so beneficial to our community. Folks from upstate, you don't necessarily want to drive from Albany all the way down to the city. Why not stop here?
Before the WIC was a hub for artists, it was formerly the popular Camp Coots.
So started off as a camp for city kids, and Jackie Robinson was on the board, and that was amazing. And then it became the Coots Camp, which is a pretty renowned Jewish summer camp, and lots of pretty famous people have come out of that. And then camps kind of dwindled down in America anyways, right before the pandemic, and that's when the town acquired the property, and the town wanted to maintain the rural quality of the land.
The community mission of Camp Coots has not been forgotten. Instead, it's growing.
I've already seen how much the WIC has had an influence on the community. I was able to be a part of the film starring Ben Platt over the summer that they were shooting right here in Coots Camp on location. It was a really beautiful camp, and I had a great time doing it, and I'm really excited to see this place become an artistic retreat.
The Warwick Institute of Culture will bring a huge variety of audiences to the Hudson Valley, and Warwick specifically. Overall, this nonprofit organization will positively impact our community for years to come.
Our last guests today, Jasleen Alag and Emily Dupre. Emily, as someone who cares so deeply about the arts, how does it feel to see these visual artists creating all of these stories we've watched today?
Oh my gosh, it's been absolutely incredible and moving and motivating to see that obviously the arts are alive and well, as we know, here in Warwick, and that there's that hunger for community space, that safe space, right, that we were talking about for the arts right here in Warwick.
And beyond that, Emily, what stuff do you plan on doing with the students of this video production program in the future in relation to your camp?
Well, all kinds of projects. I've been working on a docu-series about one of our local business owners who happens to be changing people's lives, one object at a time, one move at a time. And so including the students, right, in that process of filmmaking, in that process of TV making, is a part of it. And then also including the students in working one-on-one or side-by-side, I should say, not always one-on-one, but with these world-class artists that we have coming out here to Warwick to participate and to teach and be in the room where it happens, so that's kind of it.
Final question for you, Jasleen. What are your thoughts on the work that Emily has done in our town?
Well, I think it's really so interesting to see, following the Warwick Institute of Culture and everything, just how many different events and different things are already in the process of being made so that we can have just more of a artistic experience in Warwick, and it's really interesting to see all the events happening. And then I was watching your Instagram story yesterday, and everything was really cool looking. Really fun. And as someone who's always loved the arts, and I've always found a way to be involved, whether it was video or music or different things like that, it's just really great to see it cultivating and being so prevalent in the town that I call home. So that's really, really cool to see.
Thank you, guys. Unfortunately, that is all the time we have for you today. We had a lot of fun bringing you these stories and getting to talk with the people who helped make them possible. For Warwick Valley Television, I'm Stephanie Keegan.